right, here we go. So good morning, everyone. I am, this week I've been talking about balance and the importance of balance in our lives. Can get that out of the side of the camera. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, so in yoga, when we say the word balance, we think about standing on one leg, right? Or on one hand or whatever. But there's a lot of balance that we have to have in our life. And a lot of the asanas that we do are all about balance. And it's representative not just of physical balance, but of mental balance, of balance in everything that we do, how we eat, how we walk, how we communicate. So we need to have balance in our life, and I'd like to start our practice with that in mind and bring you to a yoga mudra. I'll start with that. A yoga mudra, and all you have to do, and mudra is a gesture, all you have to do is bring your fingertips together. It's almost like you're creating a ball, like you were holding a ball in your hand. And this represents balance. And you can bring it to your heart. And the reason it's called Hakini mudra, but the reason we're bringing it to our heart is because our heart chakra, which is the middle of the 7 chakras, is all about balance, compassion and balance, because it's right in the middle of the 3 earthbound chakras and the 3 ethereal chakras. So let's bring our attention to our heart and this mudra. You can press your fingers together a little bit. It's almost as if you are creating an energy stream from your fingertips to your elbows to your heart, all the way to your heart. And feel the power of balance. And then release your hands, bring your hands to your thighs. Make sure that your seat is comfortable, but you're maintaining a Tadasana back, a mountain back, a long spine from the crown of your head to your sits bones. And begin to follow your breath as you close your eyes and come inside. Deepen your inhale, deep inhale, and slow down your exhale. Slow it down. And continue to deepen your breath, filling your lungs all the way up and emptying until you're completely empty, and feel that emptiness. Feel the emptiness. Feel how that emptiness feels. What does it feel like? And when you're filled up, how does that feel when you're filled up with breath? And the balance of our breath, one complements and supports the other, the inhale and the exhale. As you deepen your inhale, think about breathing in prana, which is energy or new life, life force. And when you exhale, slowly and long exhale. Think about letting go of everything you no longer need. Let it go. Let it go. Let it all go. The physical toxins, the mental toxins, anything that gets in your way. Inhale new life and exhale, let go. And keep that going at your own pace. And begin to return to your natural rhythm of breathing and open your eyes to take in the light. If you have a blanket nearby, you might want to grab it to something to sit on. I have a blanket that I'm sitting on, and that helps to keep your spine straight. Bring your hands down along your side, and we're going to do our first warm-ups as a flow. So we know we're going to do a lateral stretch to one side, flow through center, other side, like you're springing off the hand that's on the mat. But don't forget to feel that stretch on the whole side of your body and bring it to center and over to the other side, exhaling on the bend, inhaling in the middle, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, and bring it back to center. And bring your arms back down by your side. We're going to do the same thing with our twists today. So we won't be staying in them quite as long. You'll stay in them for at least a breath. You're going to inhale and then exhale, twist to look over your right shoulder. Inhale through center, exhale, twist, looking over your other shoulder. Inhale, twist. Exhale, the opposite twist. Inhale through center. Exhale, and you get into your twist. And keep that going. Feel the motion in the middle of your body. Feel what it is like when you look over your shoulder. We're used to going into these twists and holding them. Feel the difference. And then come back to center. Right. And now we're going to come over, and if you like a blanket and you want to bring your knees onto a blanket like I do, then place it on your mat, step onto it, and come into your child's pose. So your child's pose may have knees wide apart, they may be together, whichever you prefer, your child's pose. And you're going to inhale and come up to a table. Barasana, the table pose. So in table, your wrists are under your shoulders. If you have severe problems with your wrists, then step your hands a little bit forward of your shoulder. That will help. You can roll up your mat to help lessen the angle. Otherwise, your wrists under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. And we're going to start with cats and dogs. So on an inhale, send your heart forward towards your arms and curl your spine towards the mat. Exhale, arch your spine to the sky. Feel your shoulders spreading apart in this cat pose. And when you inhale to your dog pose, feel your heart moving forward. This is where beginning to open our heart. Balance of your spine going from one extreme curve to the arch. And keep it going at your own pace. And remember, in your table, your arms should be rotated outwardly so that the crease is coming toward your thumb and index finger. And then the next time you're in your cat pose, pause and send your hips to your heels. Send your arms straight out in front of you for an extended child's pose. Walk your fingers a little bit forward. Your hip will come up a little bit. You're going to inhale, lift your hips, send your heart between your arms for an up dog variation. This is our first heart opener, our larger heart opener from what we were doing in dog spine. And feel your heart as if it wanted to travel right between your arms. Exhale your hips to your heels. Now we're going to do this in a flow. So your hips aren't going to come all the way back now. So we're going to inhale forward, look up, exhale, begin to curl back, and you won't go all the way down. You're going to come right back up for a flow. And the next time you're headed back to your heels, you're going to stay there. Right. And then you're going to slowly come up to a table again. And you're going to step your hands just a little bit forward, and you're going to circle your hips. One direction, and then the other. And then come back, hips to heels. So you're going to slide your arms, your hands towards your knees, and as you do, you're going to come up to stand on your knees, send your arms out by your side, bringing them all the way up together like a sun kiss, right? Only what you're going to do is bring your arms into a V shape, the symbol of victory, right? And you're going to send your arms out again, come all the way back down to a child's pose with your arms staying straight out from your shoulders to a position of humility. Inhale up, victory. Exhale, humility. Inhale, exaltation. Inhale, humble warrior. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale and stay down this time. And then you'll come back up to your table, right? So get your table alignment. You're going to send your right leg back behind you. Right? You're going to swivel your right foot on the mat, fan open. And then reach alongside your ear and send your toes in one direction. They're not your foot necessarily doesn't come up, it might, because what we want to do is a full side body stretch. And you're going to bring it down, bring your knee down, send your left leg out, swivel, open, and stretch. Big side body stretch. Bring your hands down. Send your right leg out back behind you. The sole of your foot is on the mat. Send your left arm alongside your left ear, and then you're going to swing your arm back behind you. Put the back of your forearm on your hips and lift your right leg, only hip high. Your arm is here to keep your hips from doing this or from doing this. So if your leg is lower, if you aren't able to get it up high, you still want your hips square. And we shouldn't go higher than hip height. Send your left arm now alongside your left ear. Bird dog. This is called bird dog, and this is an excellent pose for your sciatic nerve, because what it does is stretches the piriformis muscle, which is what often ensnares the sciatic nerve. And bring it down. Send your left leg out. Same thing here. You're going to bring your forearm to your hips to keep them square. Lift your left leg, right arm alongside right ear. Bring your hand down, bring your knee down. Send your right leg out behind you. Lift it up hip high. Remember your hips. You're going to inhale, and on an exhale, you're going to bring your nose underneath your knee inside. You're drawing it underneath you, your knee to your nose, and stretch it away. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen, bring it down. Send your left leg back behind you. Lift it up hip high. Bend your knee, knee to nose. So that means you're coming into a cat spine here, right? As you send your nose to your knee and your knee to your nose. And bring it down. Right. So now turn your wrists the opposite way. We've been on our wrists a lot. So bring your back of your hands to the mat with your fingers pointing towards your knees. Now, the closer your fingers onto your knees, the easier this is. So I ask you to challenge yourself a little bit and send them away, and then send your hips down. Okay, and then bring them back. So that helps with our wrists. Shake them out. Okay, excellent. All right, so we want to do a bigger heart opener now. So bring your arms all the way up to the sky. Send them all the way back behind you. Interlace your fingers. Send your knuckles pointing to the mat. Send your heart upward. And release. And if you have a block, and I know many of you don't, and I'm going to remove my blanket here for a moment. Something like a block, a book, or a pillow that's, maybe long, or there's something that you can put that has some height. So a pillow can do that if you put it in, sideways, right? And to give you the height. So it's just for the something that you can touch, right? Now, I have this sort of between my calves, but you're going to adjust this based on your body, right? So we're going to send one arm all the way up, beginning to open your heart again. Send that arm back behind you to touch that block or that pillow, just touching it. So make sure you're holding that pillow in place with your legs. Inhale your arm all the way up, exhale it back to the top of the pillow or the book that you might have here. Now, the reason I like this pose is because in Ustrasana, which is the camel pose, we want to keep our hips over our knees rather than doing this. So this with something here allows us, and if you do Yoga Mudra interlacing your fingers, you can send your knuckles to the top of whatever you might have between your calves or whatever part of your leg it's at, and open up your heart, a great big opening, and still keep your hips over your knees and release it. All right, let's do that once more. Let's start, arms all the way up. Send them back behind you, interlace your fingers, push into it. You're not really push, it's soft, you're not pushing into it, you're just touching it. And if you don't have a block or a pillow, you can still do this, right? And release. You're going to come through a table. Come to table, and then you're going to bring your hips to your heels for a counter pose to that deep back bend. Big heart opening back bends. And come back up on your knees. I'm going to do a little bit more twisting and stretching before we come up to stand. Bring your hands to your hips. So what we're doing here, you can have your hands any way you like. I have my thumb wrapped around with my other 4 fingers in front, like I'm holding my pelvis. Or you can just have your hands in front. The purpose here, or even on the side, the purpose here is to keep your pelvis forward, right? Because we're going to twist just from the waist. Inhale and exhale to one side. Inhale, center, exhale, opposite side. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Come back to center. Release your arms alongside your body. And we're going to do the same kind of twist, but we're going to flow it this time, similar to what we did when we were seated. To flow that twist, and your hips will come with you this time. And just let it be free. Free and loose and easy. Have some fun with it. Hit yourself with your hands. Just flap your hands around. And then come back to center. And take a couple of breaths here. Okay. Send your arms up overhead. Interlace your fingers. You're sending your index fingers up to the sky. You're going to inhale, and you're going to exhale to one side. Release your bottom hand, bring it to your hip. Send your opposite hip away, and this hip underneath to perhaps increase the depth of your side stretch. Inhale back to center. Over to the other side. Oops, we had interlaced fingers before. Release the bottom hand to your waist and stretch. Good stretch. Allow your hand, the hip that you're holding, to go in the direction of the other one. And bring both arms to center and release your arms. Send your shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Forward, up, back, and down. Okay, one last thing we're going to do on our knees. Going to send your right leg forward. And walk it forward a little bit more. Bring the heels of your hands to your back waist. And the purpose of this is to keep your hips moving in a straight line with your spine. We don't want this as we come forward. We want to stay nice and long. Your fingers are going the same direction as your sits bones. Inhale, exhale, hips come forward, sliding forward. Inhale, straighten your leg. Exhale. So notice when you come forward, you're stretching your quads on your left leg, front thigh. And when you straighten your legs, it's a gentle stretch for your hamstrings under your leg. Inhale. Actually, this is the exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And bring your right leg in. All right, let's send our left leg out. You know, use any props that you need. It's okay to put your hands down onto the mat to swing your leg back and forth. So do what you need to do to get into your position. Heels of your hands to your back waist. Inhale, exhale, slide your hips forward. Inhale, straighten your leg. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, feel that stretch in your back leg. Feel a pull, a slight pull on your hamstring. For those of you who have very flexible hammies, probably don't feel this at all. And come back up. This time, stay with your foot bent, and maybe you can come down more gracefully than I did before. So, okay. So we're going to come up to stand now. All right. So, by popular demand, I'm putting more flows into this practice. However, so we will do a sun salutation, and we're going to do a God-Goddess vinyasa. And that's, again, for balance, gods and goddesses. And you may have heard me talk about how we are two genders, and it's not a gender issue. The right side of our body is our sun side. The left is our moon side, male side, female side, moon, sun. It's about energy, but they're given the God and Goddess designation. So we're going to bring them together for balance. But first, the first flow that we're going to do requires, what I wanted to do was a side plank in the pose. So in order to do side plank, we're going to do that first, solo, so that you know the pose, right? So some of you may have done this before, some may not have done this before. So just bend your knees, bring your hands to the mat, and come to downward facing dog. While you're in down dog, get your alignment with your chest towards your thighs, your heels moving to the mat. You're pushing the mat away with your hands. Your arms are rotated so that the crease of your elbow is moving upward, moving towards your face. And then walk your dog for just a couple of steps. And then come back to your dog. You're going to come forward to a plank pose, right? And then you're going to come down on your forearms for a forearm plank. Now, there are two ways you can swivel into a Vashisthasana, which is the side plank. You can separate your feet a little bit and just swivel your feet on the mat and open up to your side plank. Or you can bring your feet together and come with stacked feet. And lift your hips up. And then bring it down. Okay. So that is a forearm side plank. So we're going to try that through our flow. And the first time we'll go nice and slowly so that you can catch it, and we'll give it a little bit more flow on the second side. Okay. So here we go. Come to your Tadasana. Your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Shoulders over hips, hips over ankles. Send your shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Let your arms fall naturally by your side. Bring your belly toward your spine to help lift your ribs up higher, allowing the crown of your head to reach the heavens while your feet are rooted into the earth. Inhale, gather. Exhale, fly over your legs. Inhale, come halfway up to a flat back. You could have your arms streaming alongside your hips or on your shins for that flat back. You want to have crown of your head going forward as your sits bones go in the opposite direction. Exhale, fold. Inhale, send your right leg back, send your left leg back, plank pose. Knees, chest, chin, baby cobra. Fold back down. Turn under your toes, push into the mat, downward facing dog. You're going to come forward to plank. Come to your forearms. Send your left fingers to your right elbow and swivel into your side plank. Bring it down, back to forearm plank. Come to straight arm plank. Downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. Lift your right leg all the way up, bend your knee, pigeon, sending your right knee outside your right wrist and behind and outside your right wrist. Your right toes are pointing toward your left wrist. You're going to slide your leg all the way back long behind you. The purpose is to come onto both hips. If that's not possible for you, then take a blanket and put it under the hip of your bent leg. And the reason we want our hips even, it's really important, because this is a back bend. Pigeon is a deep back bend. But what you want, and again, it's a heart opener, you want your spine nice and straight. So if you're like this, that's not good for that back bend, or like this. So if you can't get all the way down, please use, and it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Most people cannot. And I'm gonna put it underneath today. Okay. All right. So come out down onto your forearms. Come all the way down if you like for a reclining pigeon. Take a break. This pigeon pose is not only a great back bend when you're on straight arms, but when you're like this, or in any case, you are activating your psoas muscle, your hip flexor. You're stimulating your knee joint. Slide your hands under your shoulders. Come to a proud pigeon, heart reaching forward. Turn under your toes, lift your knee away from the mat, and you're going to lift your right leg and send it back to a 3-legged dog, or not. You can come directly down if you wish. And then you're going to make your way for your feet between your hands, so you can either step your right foot to your hands or walk both feet to your hands. If you're stepping forward, then step the other leg forward, hang over, fly out and up and down the center line. Okay. Now, if I had you here, I could ask you any questions. What gave you difficulty? All right. So, all right. So we're going to do the other side. Mountain. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Send your left leg back, your right leg back, coming into plank. Come to a forearm plank. Send your right fingers to your left elbow and swivel to your side plank. Those hips up. Bring your side plank back down to a forearm plank. Downward facing dog. Left leg goes up, bend your knee. Forget, you're gonna square your hips. Your left knee is coming behind and slightly outside of your left wrist. Draw it under, place it on the mat. Your left toes will be coming toward your right wrist. You're going to slide your right leg back behind you. And again, put padding underneath the hip that's not on the mat. Hips are funky, right? They don't always behave. And come down into a reclining pigeon. You can do whatever you like with your arms. They can be stretched out so you can come all the way down. You can use your hands as a pillow. You can come onto your forearms, whatever pleases your pigeon. Straight arms underneath your shoulders. Turn under your right toes, lift your right heel and knee away from the mat. And if you either come directly into down dog or you come to a three-legged dog. And then down dog. So again, either walk your feet to your hands or you're going to step your left leg forward, step your right leg forward, hang over. Uttanasana. Take opposite elbows with your hands and swing from side to side. You can rotate your hips too. Release your arms, fly out and up and down the center line. And breathe, just breathe. And release your arms. So we're going to do our goddess and god vinyasa, or flow. Let's call it a flow. There's a pose that some of you know well, but others may be unfamiliar with. So you're going to come to your mountain. I'm going to do that one pose. Come on the ball of one leg. Step it over the other. So you want toes lined up with toes like you had one foot. Then come onto the ball of your front leg again. Bend your knees. So send the leg that's in front, you want your arm in front of your belly, and the other over your head framed. And then you're going to lift your front leg. This is Natarajasana, this is Shiva's dance. And bring it down. Let's do that on the other side. Cross. Come onto the ball of your feet, bend your knees. Frame and bring your arm in front and lift your leg. Shiva's dance. And bring it down. Okay, so we're going to do that in our flow, and we're going to extend it. Right. So you're going to stand in Tadasana. Right over left. Bend your knees on the ball of your right foot. Right arm in front, left overhead. Lift your right foot. Whoops. And bring it down, and you're going to switch the other side. And switch. And this time you're going to open up to the long edge of your mat. Open up. Wide legs. Send your feet in a 45-degree angle. Send your hips down as far as they comfortably go. Any amount is good. You can be just a little bit, or you can come all the way down so that your hips are at the same level as your knees. You'll bring your arms straight out, cactus, goddess pose. Goddesses like to dance too. So bring one arm in front, the other overhead. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And pause, your hands on your thighs. And what I neglected to mention before is making sure that you can see your toes in a goddess stance. Whoops. Okay, that was elegant. So your knees should be over your middle toes so that you can see your toes, right? Yeah. So we have more of a right angle instead of our heels in the middle. Okay, all right. So now you're going to straighten your legs and you're going to send your toes forward. Again, knees in line with the middle of your toes. You're going to bring your hands to your hips like we did earlier, and we're going to hinge from our hip creases, not from our middle. So you're going to hinge heel to come to a flat back. And you're going to pause for a moment. And then you're going to lower your hands, bend your knees so your hands can come all the way down to the mat. You're going to send your right hand, you're going to take hold of your left ankle with your right hand. You're going to send your left arm behind your left leg and reach inside to take your right wrist. So you're creating this bind on your left ankle. And you're going to straighten your legs as much as is comfortable. And you're going to make an attempt, any amount works, to send your torso over your left leg and keep, at the same time, keep your hips even. Release your arms. Left hand to right ankle. Right arm goes around right leg. Reach underneath. Take your left wrist. Square your hips. Bring your torso over your right leg as much as possible. Any amount is good. Release that. Come back to your goddess legs. Bend as deeply as you need. Your feet are at a 45-degree angle. You're going to send your arms straight out from your shoulders. Bend at the elbow and unfold into your goddess. You're going to swivel to the front of the mat. And you're going to slide up to come back into Shiva's dance. Excellent. Okay, other side. Take a few breaths. Come onto the ball of your left foot. Step over your right. Bend your knees. Lift your leg. Frame your head. And we're going to go from one side to the other. And then when your left leg is up again, you're going to open up to the long edge of your mat. We're going to start with goddess for our balance, right? So 45-degree feet, hips wherever they are comfortable, knees over toes, middle of your toes. Make sure you can see them. Right. Come to your goddess. Only this time our goddess is going to do a different dance. You're going to bring your hands to your thighs and you're going to swing your hips around. Next time you're at center, pause and go the other way. And come back to center. You're going to send your arms straight out, straighten your legs, point your toes to the long edge of the mat. And again, hinge from your hip sockets to a flat back. Bring both arms, bend your knees slightly if you need to, if you can't reach, or if you have a pillow or a block, you can put that underneath your hands if you want to keep your legs straight. Send your left arm straight out in front of you, fingertips on the floor. Send your right underneath your legs all the way back as if you were just stretching out. You were stretching the carpet away. Yeah. And look under your left shoulder, your left arm. That's an arm. It's a shoulder too. And then bring both to center and go with opposite arms, reaching. Again, bend your knees if you need to touch the mat or the floor. Look under your right arm. Slide your hands forward, swivel your legs back to goddess. Come back up to your goddess. Swivel. And come back up to Shiva's dance. Okay. Excellent. All right. I think it's time to come down onto the mat, yeah, and cool down. Take a couple of breaths. Send your chin to your chest. Roll your shoulders. Roll your torso. Bend your knees. Come all the way down. And come to sit first. Sending your legs out in front of you. In Dandasana, and in Dandasana, your hands are placed alongside your hips, fingers pointing forward. Your elbows reaching back behind you. You can push into the mat a little bit to allow crown of your head to come up a little bit more to maintain that mountain spine. Send your arms straight out in front of you. Feet are flexed. Legs are active, meaning your leg muscles are energized. And to a count of 15, some might want to go for 20, you're going to come down, make your way down onto the mat. And the slower you go, the better, using your core muscles here to control as you come all the way down. If when you get to a point where you feel you can't hold it anymore, bring your forearms to the mat so that you don't slap your back onto the mat. And when you finally get to your count and bring your head all the way down, relax. Just relax for a moment. That was a lot of hard work. Bring your feet to the mat, lift your hips and lengthen your spine. Bring your right ankle over your left thigh. Your right foot is flexed. You're going to bring your left leg into your chest. You're going to reach with your right arm inside the window that's there and take hold of your left hand, interlace your fingers and bring them around your thigh to bring your leg a little bit closer. If you wish, you can wrap your hands around your shin instead. Keep that right foot flexed and keep your knee away from, going away from you. So that is if you had a right angle with your leg. Now release your left leg up to the ceiling. If you wish, you may release your arms and reach to take hold of your calf. This is only if you choose to, or you leave your hands down by your thigh. Either way is fine. And either way, you want to rotate your foot so that you can loosen your ankle a little bit more. And point and flex, point and flex. And then roll a little bit from side to side. This pose, which is often called a supine or it's Supta Kapotasana, which is it is a supine pigeon because you have your legs in pigeon here. But it is excellent, again, for sciatica because, to prevent it, because it helps to stretch those areas that pinch that sciatic nerve. Then release, bring your both feet back to the mat. Place your left ankle on your right leg, bring your right leg into your chest, interlace your fingers, send your leg straight up to the sky. Oops, no, first we're going to stay here for another moment. Sorry about that. And send, if you are holding the back of your thigh, it's pretty easy to use your left elbow to push your left knee away. So try that first. So you can keep your left foot flexed. Maybe you take your shin. Then send your right leg to the ceiling and rotate your foot, both directions, point and flex. And roll a little from side to side. And release everything. Okay. One last pose before we come to Shavasana. You are going to lift your hips, and if you have a block or a pillow, and again, if you have a long one, that's great. So you're going to lift your hips, slide the block or the pillow under your sacrum, or a blanket works too. Sometimes I use the blanket instead, soft. And then send one leg up and then the other leg for a gentle inversion. Inversion improves the flow of our blood. And whenever you're ready, make your way into Shavasana. Bring your feet to the mat, lift your hips, remove the block, extend one leg, the other. Allow your legs to splay open naturally. Your arms are alongside your body about 12 inches away, maybe a little closer to your body. Your arms are rotated so that your arms can comfortably face upward, palms of your hand up to the sky, your fingers curled into what looks like a lotus floating on a pond. Feel your head sinking into the mat, your whole back body giving in to gravity, letting go. We started with our breath. And we end in our Shavasana, our corpse pose, for the end of the cycle, and allowing us to reset our bodies to begin a new one, the end of a cycle. Om Namah Shivaya. I surrender to transformation and welcome the changes that will lead me to who I am. deepen your breath to begin to reawaken your body. Roll your head from side to side. Send your arms back behind you overhead, your feet away from you for a deep body stretch, big body yawn, big stretch. And then bring your knees into your chest and hug them and roll from side to side. And then come back to center, release your knees and roll over on to whichever side you prefer to come into a fetal position. And then whenever you're ready, make your way up to sit. And when you get to your seat, bring your hands to your heart. And let's think about using the energy we've generated here today to help us throughout the day, throughout the rest of this weekend, to keep our balance, to stay in balance, and send that idea out to anyone who you feel may need a little more balance in their life. Let's seal this practice with a chanting of Om. Take in breath. Thank you so much. Namaste.